Hello and welcome to Politics Today. I'm Farooq Patafi. Yesterday, as we promised, we are going to once again talk about Lahore incident, the terrorist attack that took place in Lahore yesterday. And we are going to talk about the overall aspects, not only of the terrorist attack itself, but also National Action Plan. And remember, we have been doing these shows repeatedly on National Action Plan, pointing this weakness out, highlighting that weakness as well. There are times when we think that things are moving forward, and there are times when we think that we are moving in circles. Particularly regarding Punjab, they are big questions. Media has been talking about it for quite some time. It is believed that since Punjab is the most populous province of the country, home to something like 100 million people, there you might have more support for prescribed organizations or non-state actors that the country has been battling for quite some time. But what happened to that? And we are going to talk about overall dimensions, not only internal but external as well. In order to help us understand these matters, we have with us Rana, Athar, Javed, Senior Defense Analyst. Thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program. Abdul, Basit Saab, a Senior Analyst, Research Scholar as well. Thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program. Abdullah Saab, Senior Analyst, first time in this show. Thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program. Rana, Athar, Javed Saab, let us start with you. Your take so far on what we have learned about the terrorist attack and how National Action Plan is still failing.
I think let me begin by saying that we cannot say really National Action Plan is failing. We can say that it has not been successful in its totality.
Okay.
The implementation issue remains, as we have been discussing in this program before. The reason being is that the provinces which had been goal where they achieved the goal as KP province and Karachi and Sindh province. Punjab and South Punjab, for example, has been out of the map, so to speak. So the reason, that's why
technically it wasn't out of the map of National Action Plan, because it spoke about the entire country. And secondly, you're saying it is not failing. They say that the taste of a pudding in its eating. Yesterday, 14 people died. Are you going to tell them that National Action Plan is working?
No. What I'm saying is, I have said that it has not been successful in its totality. That means if you comprehensively look at the features of National Action Plan, there was a very clear indication that all the provinces will work exactly
in tandem.
Yes, exactly. And also in a way in which they harmonize and synergize the other places where these activities policies are being implemented. The second thing we must remember, that the way we have been discussing NACTA and the way the plan was that the police and civil law enforcement agencies would take the lead, everybody is like waiting that the military once again, like they have done in North Waziristan, would somehow come in the picture and take the lead, and therefore has misassessed the situation.
Actually,
and secondly, there has been a paralysis. There has been paralysis.
We are going to talk about the paralysis as well, but since you just brought up the fact that army, people keep on expecting that army is doing everything. So it also, this statement actually speaks to this deficit of imagination that we have, that somehow we are not supposed to fight as a whole, as a state, as a people against terrorism. Let me
we are supposed to fight, but we are not fighting.
But there is a failure of imagination somewhere. Abdul, Basit Saab, the skeptic on the panel, your take on the National Action Plan so far, and the terrorist attack yesterday.
You got to see that where these attacks are now originating. The point of origination is the planners and executor of these attacks, and just not the Lahore attack. Remember, there were 3 provincial capitals which were attacked, then South Waziristan, so there were 4 attacks on 13th of February in Pakistan. All those attacks, their point of origination is in Afghanistan. Now, if you look at the trend of terrorism, the ideological days of terrorist groups seem to be over for now.
Okay. Are they?
what is happening currently is
A central court, one of the courts, one of the senior courts actually rules on Valentine's Day, but it doesn't address such kind of matters.
I'm coming to that.
Yeah.
So ideological days seem to be
Ideological
over,
problems are not-
and now
are
they
over.
are, if you look at the way they are focusing their goals, agendas and strategies, it is quite in consonance with shifting geopolitical trends in the region. So if you look at 2016, in number of terrorist attacks, it was FATA that used to be the most turbulent region. For the last 3 years, it's not FATA, it is Balochistan. 2016 particularly, the number of attacks carried out in Balochistan maximum were not by Baloch separatists. They were by 3 Islamist militant groups, Jamaatul Ahrar, TTP, Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, and Lashkar-e-Jhangvi al-Alami, which has revived. So if you look at it, so where is CPAC in Balochistan? Recently, if you look, there have been flurry of articles in Foreign Policy, Wall Street Journal, other prominent Western publications that the insurgency in Balochistan is becoming an international conflict. So, and if you look at the agendas of these groups, the targets of these groups, so it has...
Why would they actually hurt somebody else that is not involved in this war? For example, you're highlighting that China is also a victim along with Pakistan because of the CPAC.
Yeah.
So why would these groups go after Chinese interests here?
Because the new paymasters now want them to focus there.
Who are the paymasters?
The new paymasters, we know who they are. There are some regional states.
I think they're the old paymasters.
And there are international actors as well.
Indulge me. Tell
Yeah.
me which organizations, which groups, which countries in your thoughts.
So if you look at the attack on Sri Lankan cricket team, for instance, back in the day, Lashkar-e-Jhangvi did it on the Indian funding. If you look at Jamaatul Ahrar right now, the kind of attacks they are doing, this attack in Lahore is actually to sabotage the PSL final.
You have reflected on the second part of the question, that was Lahore attack.
Yeah.
So far we haven't spoken about National Action
Let me
Plan,
come
and
to that.
I'm going to come to that.
Just one sentence.
Let me bring in the third
Just one
guest.
sentence on that. This is a national action plan. What I said in the beginning intentionally was the point of origination is in Afghanistan. This is a national action plan. You got to now think beyond your boundaries diplomatically and other ways, if you have any, that how do you tackle this now?
There's a simple answer to that, and you just mentioned it, boundaries. If we focus on boundaries, maybe we can sort these things out, because whatever is happening outside Pakistan is not my lookout. Abdullah Gul Sahab, your take on National Action Plan? Do you think it is working in tandem?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Well, thank you very much. National Action Plan is, being under debate for so long. But I would say that at least we are on the right direction. And we have taken few difficult steps, which were very difficult in the past to be taken by any government.
Okay.
We have taken on the organizations which were becoming menace for the country. And definitely it was a big decision by the government of Pakistan along with the armed forces, because they were not on the same page. But now the politics came in between.
Can you identify those organizations that are becoming menace for the country?
Well, all those extremist organizations, I would not particularly, name one, but government is taking the correct decisions, because we have, we are living in a global village, and we have to understand the global politics as well as no country, or including Pakistan, should be hurt, should be targeted by the people or by the nurseries which are working against the interest of humanity.
Pakistan. Okay.
Against
So
humanity,
in practice and in principle, you believe that any non-state actor that not only attacks our country but also uses our land against any other country is a terrorist also?
Of course. Anybody who is doing that, he is not doing any favor to Pakistan. Or, there were when the FATA area was cleared by 96%, especially the North Waziristan area, which was, there were so many organizations which were being harbored over there. and they were using Pakistani soil. They were getting funds from different parts of the world, and including all, I would say very bluntly, that there were imperial forces as well. How can we rule out, Raymond Davis network?
Okay.
There were, in Pakistan, we have forgotten about the Black Water, Z Worldwide, DenCorp, Orange Force, Delta Force, and so many others.
We are racing towards in a very different direction.
Yes.
At this moment, I have to talk about National Action Plan.
The next
and the
action.
20 points that are there. You were very kind to bring up the issue of proscribed organizations that are being banned, that have been closed. The trouble, do you think that our state is capable at this moment of seeing every non-state actor, every proscribed organization, and knowing that they don't actually re-register themselves with new names?
I would say that it is not very easy. It is not possible that you just completely take a U-turn immediately. And we have seen in the past that what U-turn brings to Pakistan. But gradually, I would say we are in the right direction. This is one thing which is very clear.
Okay.
And the whole world knows, and we are paying the price. Yesterday there was a price we have. There's
senior
a price
officer,
tag.
so many other
senior
people died.
officers and innocent people. They were their lives were claimed. But as far as the military courts, the banning the organizations, going to the Balochistan, and conducting operations in Karachi, so many things. It is an ongoing process.
It is.
It can't be achieved in 1 or 2 days' time. There are
but
many
my concern was an intellectual distinction between what is right and what is wrong. And I was going to talk about that. Rana Sahab, this theory about Raymond Davis network, or for that matter, Dynacore, or for that matter, Z or Blackwater, do you think that anything happening within our country would not be known, especially from by the foreign agents, would not be known to the state?
No, not particularly, but in the
today. I'm not talking about when Raymond David actually happened.
Even today, the first thing we have to understand that we are now getting into the territory of counterintelligence.
Okay.
That you are trying to know about those who conducted or conducting covert operations that cannot be known to the general public and the simple institution. That is the job of the specific, our own security services.
When you say that we are entering into the phase of counterintelligence, my concern is we have been fighting a war for 15 years.
No, what I'm trying to say is intellectually, we are trying to look into the components of overall the way it is designed that to create, to implement or impose a conventional warfare, we call it, in which you combine different things: sabotage, terrorist attacks, assassinations, and especially assassination of senior figures.
That is true. But
I'm trying to bring into this format.
And I'm just trying to help, try to get more out of what you're saying. And the humble submission here is it possible that Raymond Davis was one-off incident? That can happen anywhere in the world. But that created a lot of sourness between Pakistan and the US. But Abdul Basit Sahab was just mentioning something very serious, that is India sponsoring terrorism. Is it possible that we have that kind of organizations sponsored by India, not by the West, and their ultimate purpose is not only to disrupt Pakistan, but also to create such a situation where we keep on fighting with the West?
Well, let me be this is very simple answer to that. If we really know how it works internationally, normally one country cannot go and do these kind of things until they have an international consortium. We call it an international consortium by the sheer reason
of state actors or contractors as well?
Of the state actors, then at the sub level, the contractors, then the front companies, then there is a large infrastructure.
Why do we keep on increasing our problem rather than narrowing it down?
I'm clarifying because you have asked a question about the Raymond Davis and you said it is maybe a single incident, but I don't think so. The reason being, when the Raymond Davis, all kind, are being facilitated in this country, they cannot be facilitated to large extent because if the operational scope is wide,
Yeah, but if you
Let me-
remember,
let-
after Raymond Davis, there was a National Security Committee of the Parliament that actually came up with some measures. And then we closed the American bases in the country, and we also revised many rules of engagement. That didn't happen.
Well, that's what I want to ask you, that if
But we keep
just
on-
one person,
if we are, we
just
started
one
by,
person,
hang on. We started by discussing National Action Plan. Then all of a sudden, we started talking about India as well.
because
and
no,
now
no.
we are talking about a third actor.
Well,
Maybe
these are
that is not that much.
No, because these are the clear link. You have said one person, but how a one person can cause the closure of bases and everything? So that is the question.
No, but that was our reaction because
No, that was
drone
not-
attacks
that was
were
our
also going on.
response.
Abdul Basit Saab, are we going to, keep on shifting blame only to other?
And we are not
other-
shifting blames, by the way.
No, you are not. But my humble submission, that discourse that I've seen, or we are going to do something about the state of affairs, because whosoever is doing it, if they are managing the local operatives, the operatives are local. You have to first close them down.
To a great extent, I agree with your assertion that primarily it's a local issue. It's an internal problem. Had there been these no internal actors available to these external players to exploit, we won't have been seeing the problem that we see currently. Now, the problem in 2017 that we face is the rapid pace with which these terrorist trends are shifting. You have a very fluid and evolving landscape. So you can't really have, you see, even if you look at 1 week trends, you can't do forecast because it changes so quickly.
That is true, but my country has been fighting a war for 15 years.
In one day.
Now 16 actually.
In one day, the whole equation changes. Look at just 13 Feb, you keep it out of the equation, we were doing pretty well. So what I'm saying
Are you implying that National Action Plan has to keep on changing as well?
what I'm saying is you can't have fixed and constant answers to this complex equation. What you need to do is a periodic review.
That is true, but that periodic review maybe will not get you the kind of consensus you got at National Action Plan A. B, there is another thing. You cannot say the strategy is not working till the time you have not fully implemented it. There are 20 points. Are we anywhere near implementing it at this moment?
The operational aspects of National Action Plan have been implemented more diligently. The non-operational, which have to do with reformation,
Hate literature is operational or non-operational?
yeah, restructuring, revision of the curriculum,
Non-kinetic, actually.
non-kinetic.
but
not much attention has been paid to that. Now, operational and non-operational or kinetic and non-kinetic components of counter-terrorism have to
be
go
there.
hand in hand.
You realize that one very big part of National Action Plan, at least one point, is suspended at this moment. We don't have any military courts right now, do we?
But they are thinking of, extending them. That's the problem.
Thinking is not part of National Action
No,
Plan,
but
it is action.
It has to
that we
be
have to-
implemented.
Yeah, but that has been the problem. If you look at it, the sunset clause were for 2 years. In 2 years, there were no restructuring.
Not in National Action Plan. The sunset
Military
clause
clause,
was
military-
in the amendment.
Yeah.
An
So-
amendment is a kind of practical implementation. But when you look at National Action Plan, it is talking about the menace of terrorism and military courts. Let me go to Abdullah Gul Sahab. You actually brought up the issue of military courts as well. Do you think that there is some kind of distortion in the narrative that is causing that this kind of reluctance in the way of the military courts?
Well, I would say not exactly reluctance, but there are political problems.
Only
And,
political problems.
There are political
Not
problems
narrative
because,
problems.
I would say, different types of parties are sitting in the parliament. They do object, and so to some extent they are correct. But
Let us
there is a administrative way also.
And
How
let us-
the government
no,
thinks
hang on.
is a different
Let us,
way.
you said there are certain parties sitting in the parliament. Let us identify them. Which parties are opposing the idea, per se?
Opposition is opposing sometimes just for the sake of
No, but
opposition.
People's Party initially supported the idea.
Initially.
It will again, it will
Initially.
again do it, I tell you. There are 2 or 3 parties. You know their name.
Of course.
Kindly identify them.
Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf is one of them.
Okay.
They sometimes I would say
they usually boycott. They actually neither support nor oppose.
Unnecessarily, you know.
Maulana Fazlur Rahman's party.
Once they were
Jamiyat
all
Ulama-e-Islam.
Once they were yes.
And
because,
Jamaat-e-Islami.
They have their problems, internal party issues, internal party issues.
Like what? Which party?
All the parties. They have their because Pakistan comes first as far as the administration is concerned. Pakistan comes first.
Are you telling me that there are sympathizers in every party? That's why we cannot have military courts in the society?
Sympathizers and critics. And criticism.
Look,
for the sake of criticism, not for the sake of positivity.
I get it that there are 2 dimensions to this opposition. One is far right, one is far left, or liberals for that matter. I understand what the liberals are saying, that someday the news is going to be used for perhaps innocence. But so far, the way military courts have been implemented or they have conducted themselves, I think liberals are not going to throw in the spanner in the way. It is particularly the far right groups that are opposing it. Am I not right?
Oh, you are quite right about it. But at the same time, you have to understand, that how the National Action Plan is working.
Okay.
And I would say that yes, measures they have been taking against the abuse of internet. And there is a cell which was created in
I can show you many proscribed organizations, not local, maybe international, that are banned, that should be banned on Facebook or internet. But they are working here. But I can tell you too many of the convivial, not only porn websites, convivial websites also that are blocked in this country. So this is what I'm saying. Maybe there is a problem, A, with the distortions in the narrative, or maybe then there is a problem of understanding what is the existential threat to the society.
Both are there. Okay. There is a problem of understanding and there is a problem of narrative. Okay. We have to develop a counter narrative which has to be, because ideologies can't be fought with weapons.
After 15 years, 16 years, have to?
No. Still, it's an ongoing process, like I said at the beginning of the program.
No, but DGISPR says that we have a practical or some kind of a basic narrative. That's why we are
fighting. Of course, but the nation has to be, brought in.
And somebody has to do that. Let me bring in Javed Gishkori, a senior journalist who has been on this program, and he has something new about National Election Plan as well. Javed Gishkori, thank you very much for joining us. Your take so far on the implementation of National Election Plan?
Tafi Saab, thank you very much. First of all, I'm so sorry I could not participate in your show because I was so busy in my own show.
Okay. You are participating as we speak.
The performance of National Action Plan, the glass is half filled, no doubt, and we have been discussing it, but the situation today, particularly in the presentation given by CTD head to Prime Minister of Pakistan, the presented report is very alarming. And the CTD Punjab and the police also admitted that now the banned outfits re-emerged, resurfaced in Punjab. This is one of the biggest challenges again.
Right. So at this moment, do we have any kind of operation on cards then in Punjab? Because at this moment, while we are sitting here, there is a headline going on above my head that says that the army chief has just, headed a security briefing in which he was told about the incident and how things are. I understand that the Prime Minister and the President also have made remarks. So do we have a plan moving forward at this moment, Javed Gishkori?
I think so. I agree to your point. I think because there is a lot of pressure on the government, particularly on Punjab government, and the figures I just want to share with you here in this show that these show that the security forces at least now cataloged 67,000 activists of proscribed organization. Can you imagine that? Is it not a large number? Yes, there is a need to conduct operation against them, and I also want to share some more details about the prescribed organization very much active in Punjab, particularly in South Punjab. That so far we received the figure from Prime Minister office right now is around 821
Okay.
very hardcore activists, which are security and risk for the state, belong to Ludhianvi group and Malik Isaac group of Lashkar-e-Jhangvi, and 85 of different Al-Qaeda, 44 of Jamaatul Dawa, and Jaish-e-Muhammad, 77 activists, and like TTP, Daesh even, 23 people. I mean, not people, these are terrorists, and Lashkar-e-Khorasan, and many other organizations. It means that it's the biggest challenge, and we could not, even the government failed to keep the momentum to execute National Action Plan, and it's very unfortunate, by the way, because...
Zahid, that is true, but let us also talk about the way forward. Do you think that any operation that is going to follow up is going to take place in the shape of intelligence-based operations in the urban centers, or maybe we are going to see the similar kind of operations in the rural areas that we have seen in the past?
I'm sorry to cut you, please go ahead.
Please go ahead, I've made my point.
Basically, you know that in the entire country, otherwise intelligence-based operations are being conducted by the military, but the situation could not change because, unfortunately, particularly where the prescribed organizations were very much active and had been even, and I just want to share with details about Balochistan. Balochistan witnessed the worst kind of violence ever after 2011.
Okay.
So nap is almost napping in Balochistan, but in South Punjab, we are talking about Punjab. Punjab even, was not a worst victim. But this time, I think this sort of problematic situation is paving the way not only for the military, might be for Punjab Rangers and other forces to conduct such kind of operation. And I think it's need of the hour, and particularly even the government, unfortunately, could not bring and could not revamp or review the criminal justice system, though it has been 2.5 years now that there was enough time for the government.
I'm going to come back to the studio. Zahid, please do stay with us, because I'm going to come back to you as well. Your take so far on this. Do you think that if an operation takes place in Punjab, it is going to be in the shape of intelligence-based operations, or it is going to be full battle, the total, war that one is going to unleash, perhaps in the tribal areas, rural areas of the province?
I think it would be very difficult to launch a full-fledged operation. Intelligence-based operations are already underway in Punjab. The only thing which will be required, I think, would be in this context, especially after looking at yesterday's attack, is that they have to create a balance that where it is required in the rural area and other parts and even thickly populated area, the ranger must be given some mandate by the Punjab government to operate in combination with the police, of course. So what it will do is...
keep on reinventing the wheel.
No, we are not reinventing.
In Karachi, it was rangers. In Balochistan tribal areas, it was FC, then army.
No, because
and once again, we are talking about rangers.
Now we have to look at the...
The rangers have a silver bullet that the police doesn't have.
No, what I'm trying to say is, it is also, you have to understand, that we have managed to build the capacity of police fighting asymmetrical warfare. Even our army was not trained before this. We had put a lot of efforts. And in the CTD department of the police, there are major achievements made by the police. So we should not ignore that.
Okay.
Only thing is that they have to put a test on the ground, given the situation that rangers should not operate alone. Like in Karachi as well, it's not only Rangers.
I tell you, there's a simple narrative that I've seen on television channels. Remember when National Action Plan was introduced at the start, it was hardly about Karachi. Karachi was only one of the 20 points. Then all of a sudden, because Karachi gives you a lot of ratings, media started talking only about
Also,
Karachi
Karachi
operation.
gives you 65%.
No, that is true. But I'm talking about the media's
GDP.
role in it, right? All of a sudden, this started happening, and then another narrative Abdul Basit started developing, and that was by the critics of the government, by the way, that the way Rangers have taken down not only terrorists in Karachi, but also maybe some politicians who might be involved in corruption. This will happen in Punjab. So we have to demand that there has to be Rangers deployed in Punjab, nothing else. Are we creative enough? I'm coming back to you as well. Are we creative enough?
I think we tend to complicate things. This is a very pertinent, a very valid point. At the end of the day, what matters is whether it was police or Rangers or army, we got the results in Karachi. Not satisfactory, but we got the result. Somebody has to do it. If police has to do it, they should move forward now. They should move forward. Terrorism is defeated at the end of the day as a whole of society approach, in which state shows the direction, society provides the support to them through the popular narrative, and the political will has to come forward.
Right.
If we keep on shifting the blame that who will do it, who is in a better position to do it, I think we are wasting...
You don't want us to pass the buck, right?
That's what I'm saying.
So who is empowered to take action in Punjab?
Whoever has to take action, it is time to take action now, because if we waste more time, remember these groups are very imaginative, they are regenerative and very hard to eliminate, and they continue
You worry me when you tell me that in the past we have seen an interior minister who used to call them very professional. And the trouble when you say that they are very resourceful, very creative, you worry me that a country of 180 million people is not creative more than a ragtag army of terrorists.
Political will is the main factor here then. Political will is the main factor.
And how will we get that? We are going to talk about that in a minute, but let me go back to Abdullah Gul Sahab. Abdullah Gul Sahab, at this moment, there has to be some kind of a narrative. Who's going to build that? You were saying. And the second thing is, if we are going to go ahead in Punjab and take out the terrorist or so-called extremist infrastructure, who's going to do it? IBOs, Rangers, police, army, or some angels?
I would say collective effort.
Okay.
It has to be a collective effort, and narrative should be developed.
How would you respond to the fact that after 15 years, we haven't found a way to constitute units that might have representation of all of them?
That cannot be
with the exception of angels, of course.
That cannot be possible.
You see, it's not possible because why we just talk about Pakistan? What about Afghanistan, where the 48 countries are there and they are still unable to defeat the terrorism?
I tell you why. Whatever happens in Afghanistan happens there. In Pakistan, when terrorism strikes, it is my brethren who are killed. So I am worried about the local issue.
I'm not saying. I'm saying this means that there has to be a counter narrative should be developed with the help of the religious organizations and also the political will. I think this is the time that we have to address the problems. Like a ideology can't be fought with weapons, but with superior ideology only. So we have to come up with a narrative, because you cannot keep on killing the terrorists, because it's an ongoing process and there are more and more coming every day.
So we are taking care of the hardware. We have to look at the or take stock of the software as well. This is what you are saying.
Because you see, there is a ongoing process, and then you have foreign funding as well, which can't be ignored at all. You talk about Raymond, I started with Raymond Davis, but Raymond Davis was the one who was arrested and sent back. 6,999 are still there. What about the issuance of visas which were done by Mr. Hussain Haqqani, and still,
Look,
there are so
Hussain
many
Haqqani,
over
I'm
there.
no fan of Hussain Haqqani. We have discussed
nobody
him a
is.
lot in this
Nobody
program.
is.
No, but he is not actually represented in this program, so
Right.
I'm not going to talk about him right now. Zaid Gishkori, remember that there was a committee that was constituted by the federal government to come up with narrative, the counter narrative against the terrorism. Whatever happened to that, sir? I remember a lot of religious organizations were part of it, especially Mufti Munib was to chair it. What happened about that, sir?
Pitafi Saab, unfortunately nothing, because this was the only point which was not touched. Even nobody took any interest in it, and the situation seemed to be worse. We are just killing terrorists. We are not killing terrorism, because it's clear and categorical. Look at 1,000 jet black terrorists arrested in Punjab under National Action Plan, and you know that what was the ratio of conviction? Only 16%.
Okay.
Can you imagine? And look at Karachi during the 41 months Ranger operation is going on, and then the National Action Plan, it was also a key part and key point of this National Action Plan. But 7,000 criminals and terrorists were arrested, and 11,000 terrorists, 1,100 terrorists were gunned down. And
Okay.
But you know what was the conviction ratio? Only 237 criminals or terrorists
I remember
convicted.
last time
So
when you appeared in,
the
in this show, you also mentioned this at that time as well. That point is taken. My concern again is about narrative. There were religious scholars who were commissioned or who were requested to come up with a narrative. The state asked them to do it. My concern at this moment is, where is the problem? Has the government not been able to ask them repeatedly for a follow-up, or the religious elite is not cooperating the way it is supposed to?
There were two such committees. Listen, most importantly, they only met 3 times in a year, and even last year they met only once. The issue is that all school of thoughts have a lot of differences, and they could not be brought by the government on a single platform. That's why this was the reason government could not even develop any consensus on madrasa registration form.
Yeah.
And this was the main reason. Another one, you know that madrasas and other education system, religious education system, were being organized, being supervised by Ministry of Religious Affairs, but this subject was transferred to Ministry of Interior. And they met twice. I mean, all leadership of all, representative of all school of thoughts, including Mufti Saab and many others, and Maulana Shirani Saab, but they could not develop even a form, registration form. Can you imagine that where will be the other issues?
Zaid Gishkori, thank you very much for your time. You have made some very crucial points. Let us come back to the studio once again. Rana, Athar, Javed Saab, my problem with the narrative is, for 15 years, after, every nation has to face an identity crisis. After not after 9/11, after the fall of Soviet Union, there was this talk that Islam is going to be the next challenge. In the West, it was stated repeatedly. We have seen clash of civilization thesis, and there was a reaction in our country and so many other countries, Muslim countries as well, where religious elite started discussing the end of time wars, and somehow since that is going to be between the Christ or the forces supporting Islam, according to our theology, and the Antichrist. So the wars are fixed, and you have to actually take one side, otherwise you are not forgiven. That narrative has haunted Muslim world for quite some time, from ISIS to Al-Qaeda to TTP to so many other splinter groups. has anybody done anything to counter that? That end of time is going to come, but we don't know when. Islam doesn't tell us. So you don't have to essentially lock yourself down into a fight that is perhaps not that much Islamic.
But Avishab, you brought the narratives, what you have said. This is not the narratives from the Islamic scholars.
Should I give you the CDs on television, which are very popular?
No, let me tell you. You said Clash of Civilization and Christ and this. You know who said this, the Crusade and this was said by the George W. Bush? Clash of Civilization was written, just hang on, please, let me complete.
Crusade word was once
when you ask a question, you allow me to complete it. It won't help.
But I can give you example of
No, but
side.
you have asked an elaborated question. Let me answer you at least in a way in which I want to clarify what you asked.
Okay, please go ahead.
I understand what you mean about end of times. I'm not asking the end of time was presented by the Western scholars or leadership.
They have problem also. Steve Bannon also believes in more or less the same kind of ideology from the other side, but that is one aspect.
Just please let me complete.
Internal narrative.
Because I'm unable to complete a sentence. Please allow me.
I'm just helping you to actually focus.
I appreciate. Just allow me to say a few things only.
Okay.
Clash of Civilization was written by Samuel Huntington, and that was back in 90s.
1990s, mid-90s.
And then there came a war on terror, this 9/11, and then the words were said, you are against us, or with us or against us. And then it was said Crusade, then said axis of evil, Syria, Iran, and Iraq. And then what I want to clarify, these are the narratives. They are not the narrative statements. They produced narratives later because narratives are not mechanically generated. It is about a whole process of reformation of a society where they understand. For example, here every time, even Muslims, scholars, analysts, they say Islamic militant organization. Well, it doesn't help that way.
Are you telling me they are religious scholars in Pakistan?
They are militant organization.
No, but they are using your religion.
No, I'm
wrongly
saying,
so.
Well, then
why would we be reluctant to identify them?
Because that's what your answer lies right here. That's why you said that what happened to those religious scholars.
Okay, what you are saying essentially is that don't be mean to us. Otherwise, we will not help ourselves.
No.
My concern is
this is your angle. My angle is that do not bet only on religious scholars. Bet on the scholars, society at large, and yourself.
You will bear me out. My state has sacrificed a lot. My state has been very firm in past 15 years in trying to come up with a counter narrative also.
Of course.
There is only one problem when the war on terror, and I actually concede a point to you. When war on terror started, there was no democracy in the country, and there was dictatorship. At that time, maybe there was not that kind of consultation process.
I agree
and that's
with that.
why the
totally
religious scholars or the narrative with the religious scholars was lost.
Absolutely.
But that is coming back to haunt us.
I agree with that.
And now it's a horrible creature that haunts you and me, not only the West.
I totally agree with that. I totally agree with you.
Your relatives and mine as well. So
what I'm trying to say is, please understand that 70s Pakistan and it was different. To go back to that level,
I cannot go back.
It will take few decades to create a real kind of narratives. Are not mechanical thing. Please, bear me out. Like you said in the beginning of slamming ban on Valentine's Day, for example. You said it. I just want to tell you, what is a narrative? Narrative is something that what is the social soft side of the society.
Yeah, when you use essentially has to carry a message, and if you don't have the right message, you have the wrong message, then there is confusion in the society.
Yes.
Abdul Basit Saab, your take on narrative. Who's going to come up with the religious side of the narrative?
Well, I'll partially disagree that for the last 15 years, the state has been trying to create a narrative or a counter narrative.
It has.
To militants' narrative. Till the American withdrawal, our narrative was quite, muddled,
opposite.
and we just wanted to do things in Afghanistan because the Americans were there. The real effort to narrative only started post 2014. But now the problem here is...
In 2007, terrorism started on our soil, and at that time, people were being killed.
Talking about the narrative, if you try to compartmentalize it, with the good and the so-called bad ones, then you have lost it there.
Let me pedal back. Let me pedal back
Yeah.
a bit, just to concede some space for your point.
Sure.
Okay, maybe the entire state was not coming up with the narrative that was needed, but there were big chunks of the state, big elements in the society that were trying to argue that there should be a narrative. You and I were part of that. And this has been going on for 15, 16, 17 years. Trouble at this moment is, there is a narrative. I cannot go on discussing or debating the past. I need some solution for moving forward.
Okay,
And who's going to convince the clergy that they have to come on board and they have to help counter this kind of illusions?
You spent years in developing one narrative of jihadism. It would take some time before it really goes away. So something which was jihad in the 80s continued to be jihad in the 90s, all of a sudden becomes terrorism post 9/11 because it is hurting you. So you are trying to reverse engineer that. It takes a bit of effort. And there is an element of hypocrisy here.
And we don't have that kind of time to
so state,
start that effort
state
now.
Doesn't have the
We are
moral
left with 2
authority.
minutes.
State doesn't have the moral authority which called it jihad to reverse engineer it.
Every
now
country,
by calling it terrorism.
Hang on. I don't agree at all. America kept on praising the Afghan jihad,
hypocrisy.
and now they
Same
call them
hypocrisy,
terrorists.
sir.
Morally
Same-
equivalents of our
same
forefathers.
hypocrisy.
These
Yeah,
were the words.
Same hypocrisy.
But now it is changed.
Same
No,
hypocrisy.
they were calling him
You are
Washington of today.
you
Yeah,
are
but now
failing-
it has changed. So we can do exactly that.
You are failing to answer pertinent questions. State, by you I mean the state, is failing to answer pertinent question, and the militants are providing those answers to the youth. That is why their narrative is smarter, more strategic, and they are winning the war of ideas from
That actually breaks my heart, because I just want to throw in the towel and leave them. Abdullah Gulthab, 1 minute left. You have the floor, and just explain to us what you mean by seeking help of the clergy in coming up with a counter narrative. Very quickly.
I would say that we have to rewrite the strategies. And,
What
like
strategy?
the
Do we have a
strategies which,
strategy written somewhere?
of course, there is a strategy. Every government has a strategy. Of course, it is written. It is that is what the government functionaries are for. So I think it has to be, to be written again, or made it clear to the government functionaries, and then you go for the implementation, like in the National Action Plan. 20 points. There is one point that zero tolerance against militancy will be, for Punjab as such.
Right.
So we have to start operation in Punjab also, like we have done for the Chotu gang, where the military was utilized, and then of course with the collective efforts of military, FC, and all
you
those
actually bring up
organizations.
the most debatable
No, but,
point at
one
the
more
very
thing.
end,
One more
and
thing,
you
I
didn't
would-
answer my question.
No,
that was
I'm-
about the help of the clergy, and I'm told we have run short of time.
I am just
another time, sir.
Just a moment, please. I would say 20 million men were, killed by Stalin. They were never called terrorists. Why
Okay, should
always
we-
Muslims are called
Okay,
terrorists?
thank you very much.
George Bush
by the
killed
way,
500,000, people.
Two wrongs never make a right, and
Of
a
course,
person
it
who's
doesn't.
killing my own brethren will be called a terrorist, and I really will be astonished if somebody implies otherwise. I'm told that we have to conclude the program. Abdullah Gul Saab, thank you very much. Abdul Basit Saab, Rana, Athar, Javed Saab, thank you very much for your time as well. You have listened to our discussion. This discussion should go on. We do these programs in English. I try doing exactly the similar kind of shows in Urdu as well. But the point is, somehow, very aggressively, we have to convince the media of Pakistan, intelligentsia of Pakistan, to start working against this narrative. If this narrative survives in the society, some part victimhood, part end of times, part or for that matter eschatology, and then part conspiracy theories, we have to come out of that. We have to fight anybody who is killing us, and remember, even if they are hired guns, they are on our soil. We should not allow such people to do whatever they are doing at this moment. So in saying that, I hope that in coming days we have a better narrative, a stronger narrative coming not only from the state but also the people of Pakistan, the institution, the intelligentsia, the media. And with that, I conclude the program as well. Thank you very much for watching us. Take care.